First, the sea goes still. No wind, no swell. Just black water and gray sky, and a silence that feels like the ocean holding its breath. And then 40 feet down, in the dark where the light gives out, something begins to climb. A ring of silver, a wall with no walls. Rising, a trap is being built. Not from net, not from teeth, not from anything you can hold in your hand. It is being woven from breath. A spiral of bubbles released in perfect formation by an animal you cannot yet see. Inside that spiral, 100,000 herring are being herded into a single dense column. They do not understand what is happening. They have 1 second left to live, and most of them will not use it. This is the most sophisticated cooperative hunt of any animal in the ocean, and almost no camera has ever been in the right place, at the right moment in the right water, to see it from beneath. Tonight, to understand the hunt, you must first understand the water. This is the inside passage of Southeast Alaska, a 1,000-mile maze of fjords, channels, and forested islands where the mountains fall straight into the sea. The water here is not blue. It is a cold, productive green, thick with life, fed by glacial rivers and by the great upwelling currents of the North Pacific. It is one of the richest marine larders on the planet, and for 5 short months of the year, it sets the largest table in the Northern Ocean. The wealth of this place is invisible. It begins with light and cold, and the churning of nutrients up from the deep. In the long summer days, the surface water blooms with phytoplankton, billions of microscopic plants, turning sunlight into food. The plankton feed vast clouds of krill, and the krill and the plankton both feed the silver river that is the heart of this entire story. The herring, a single herring is the length of your hand, but herring do not live as individuals. They live as a shoal, a coordinated mass of millions moving as one body, each fish matching the turn of its neighbor in a fraction of a second. Together, a great Alaskan herring shoal can stretch for kilometers and weigh thousands of tons. It is, in effect, a single enormous animal made of silver and panic, and every large hunter in this sea has come for it. Sea lions tear into the shoal from below. Bald eagles wait above for fish driven to the surface. Gulls in their thousands wheel and scream over any disturbance. But all of these are skirmishers. They take what they can from the edges. The animal that has learned to take the shoal whole, to swallow it by the column, by the ton, is the largest predator in this entire fjord. And it has just arrived. She has come a very long way to be here. 6 months ago, and 3,000 miles to the south, she was in the warm turquoise waters off Hawaii. There in winter, she gave birth. There she sang. There she did not eat. Not once. For the entire season. Humpback whales fast in their breeding grounds. For months, she lived entirely on the blubber stored in her own body. And then, hungry to the marrow, she turned north. The migration of the humpback is one of the longest of any mammal on Earth. From the breeding lagoons of the tropics to the feeding grounds of the cold north, she has swum across an entire ocean. She has navigated by means we still do not fully understand. Perhaps by the Earth's magnetic field, perhaps by the sun, perhaps by sound. She has crossed open water thousands of meters deep, with no landmarks, in featureless blue, and she has arrived almost to the week, in the exact fjord where the herring run thickest. She does this every year of her life. When she left these waters last autumn, she was sleek and heavy with reserves. Now she is thin. The long fast of the breeding season has carved the fat from her flanks. You can see the ridge of her spine, where once there was only smooth muscle. She has perhaps 4 months to put it all back, to rebuild the blubber that will carry her, and next year's calf, through another winter of starvation in the south. To do that, she must eat more than a ton of fish every single day. One whale eating a ton of fish a day is a formidable hunter, but she is about to do something that a single whale cannot. In these waters, she has friends, not family. Humpbacks are not, by nature, a deeply social animal. But here in this fjord in this season, a small group of unrelated adults has learned to do something together that none of them can do alone. They have learned to build the trap. Watch how it begins. One whale dives deep, 100 feet, more, and positions herself directly beneath a shoal of herring. She is not yet hunting. She is surveying. She has located the densest part of the column. And now, she begins to exhale. She does not simply release her breath. She releases it in a precise, controlled spiral, rising slowly as she swims a tightening circle beneath the fish. The bubbles do not pop. In this cold, still water they hang. They form a shimmering, rising curtain, a cylinder of silver that climbs from the deep all the way to the surface. To a herring, that wall of bubbles is a solid barrier. It is light. It is noise. It is wrongness. And the herring will not cross it. This is the heart of it. The herring, terrified of the bubble wall, pull inward, away from it, compressing themselves into a tighter and tighter ball at the center of the spiral. The whale is not catching the fish. She is using their own instinct against them. She is making them gather themselves into a single dense, swallowable mass by their own panic. Inside a wall she has built from nothing but air. It is one of the only documented examples of an animal building a hunting tool out of a material with no substance at all. But a single whale cannot build a wall wide enough, fast enough to trap the largest shoals. And so, in this fjord, the group has divided the labor. One whale blows the net. Another dives below the herring and begins to sing. Listen, not all humpback groups do this. It is a learned behavior passed between individuals, found only in certain populations. But here, beneath the trapped herring, one whale produces a sound unlike anything else she makes. It is not a song, it is a feeding call, a rising trumpeting scream that climbs in pitch and builds in volume loud enough to be felt through the water as a physical pressure. And it does to the herring what the bubbles cannot. It drives them up. The feeding call may startle the fish, it may disorient them, scramble the perfect coordination of the shoal, break the school's collective mind. Whatever it does, the effect is unmistakable. The herring panic upward, away from the sound, packing themselves against the surface, the one direction left to them. They have fled the bubble wall on every side. They have fled the scream from below. They have nowhere to go but up into a thinning sliver of water just beneath the sky, exactly where the trap was always meant to deliver them. Now the timing must be perfect. Below, in the green dark, the rest of the group has gathered. They have arranged themselves in a tight circle at the base of the bubble net, all facing inward and upward, all aimed at the center of the trapped column. They are 40 feet long. They weigh 40 tons each. And on a signal we still cannot fully read, a change in the call, a movement, a shared understanding refined over many summers, they begin together to rise. What happens next takes less than 3 seconds. After all the patience, all the architecture, all the slow, careful building of the trap, the kill is over in the time it takes to draw a single breath. Watch the surface. Watch the still, gray water. And do not look away. The bubbles reach the surface first. A boiling ring of silver fizzing up from the deep, the size of a swimming pool, for half a second. That is all. And then the sea erupts. 40 tons apiece. They come up through the surface mouth. First 4, 5, 6 of them at once, rising in a single coordinated wall, throats ballooning to twice their size as they engulf the entire trapped column in one enormous gulp. Each whale takes in tens of thousands of fish and many tons of seawater in that one lunge. The herring at the center of the trap have no escape and no warning. One instant, they are pressed against the surface. The next, the surface itself opens beneath them and becomes a mouth. Look at the throats. The underside of a humpback, from chin to navel, is pleated with deep grooves, accordion folds of skin and muscle. When the whale lunges, those grooves unfold, and the throat expands into a vast elastic pouch capable of holding a volume of water greater than the whale's own body. She takes the entire trapped column inside her. Then she closes her mouth, raises her enormous tongue, and forces the water back out through the curtain of baleen that hangs from her upper jaw. The water escapes. The fish do not. In a single lunge, one whale can swallow more food than a large predator on land eats in a week. And then, the water still streaming from her closing jaws, she sinks back beneath the surface. The gulls settle. The ring of bubbles fades. The sea goes still again, and 40 feet down, in the dark, the whales are already beginning to build the next trap. They will do this again, and again, and again, dozens of times in a single day, for weeks on end, through the long, bright Alaskan summer. It is an exhausting, relentless labor, and it is the entire purpose of their year. Every successful trap is a deposit of fat against the coming famine. Every ton of herring is another mile of the migration home, another month of fasting survived, another calf carried through the cold. And here is the most remarkable part. This behavior, the bubble net, the feeding call, the synchronized lunge, is not written into the humpback at birth. It is learned. It is taught passed from one whale to another, refined and varied between groups, spread between individuals who watch and copy and join in. It is, by any honest definition, a culture, a tradition of cooperative hunting invented by whales, taught by whales, and carried across the generations of a population. No two groups do it exactly the same way, and a young whale that falls in with the wrong company may never learn it at all. But the great feast does not last. As the summer ages, the herring shoals thin and scatter. The long Alaskan days begin, almost imperceptibly, to shorten. The plankton bloom fades. The cold deepens. And the whales, fat now, heavy again, with the reserves they came so far to build, feel the old pull turning them south. One by one, they will leave the fjord. One by one, they will begin the 3,000-mile journey back to the warm water, where they will eat nothing at all. They will not feed like this again for another year. The trap they build will go with them only as knowledge, carried in the mind, not the body. A skill, a memory, a shared invention, waiting through the long fast of winter, through the songs and the calving and the 3,000 miles of empty blue, to be unfolded again, next summer in this same cold green water. For as long as the herring run, for as long as the cold sea keeps its wealth, in all the ocean, there are perhaps 100,000 humpback whales, hunted nearly to nothing within living memory. They have, in one of the great quiet recoveries of our age, begun to return. And in a handful of cold northern fjords, a small number of them carry between them a piece of knowledge that no other animal on earth possesses. How to build a wall out of breath, how to fold 100,000 fish into a single mouthful, how to hunt the open sea, not with speed, not with teeth, but together, one summer, one fjord, one silver river of fish, and the giants who have learned together to take it. The trap is gone now, dissolved back into nothing, into a few rising bubbles and a fading ring on still gray water. But the whales remember how it was made. And next year, when the cold returns and the herring run thick once more, they will build it again, out of breath and patience, in the dark beneath the surface where almost no one will ever see. A wall with no walls, a trap woven from breath, and 40 tons of whale rising out of the dark, exactly where the silence promised it would.